Welcome back to another episode of How Farms. Today, I'm going to show you how to drive a tractor. Okay, first thing we need to do is go over what everything does before we decide to drive this tractor. So what I like to do is start from left to right, and we'll go over everything. First thing we need to do is look down here. This selects our high and low range on our transmission. That's what this lever does. So you go low and high. The next thing we need to look at is this pedal. This is our clutch pedal, which disengages the engine from the transmission. When you push it in, it's disengaged. When you release it, it engages. The next thing we have is our Pto Selector handle. We have, on this tractor, you have low and high. And next, we have our gear selector. Now this tractor, you can see, has 8 gears total, which if you see a reverse, first and second, first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear, sixth gear, seventh gear, and eighth gear. Now, in order to get to fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth, you have to select high on the transmission down there. And on low down there, you have first gear, second gear, third gear, and fourth gear. The next thing we have up here is our brake. Now, as you can see, there's 2 different pedals. So you can select the right brake by itself, or the left brake by itself, or you can flip this lever back over and do them both at the same time. Now the next thing is this little lever right here. This controls the RPMs of the tractor with this little pedal, but also what controls the RPMs is this handle. So say you want to use your tractor at a higher RPM and keep it at that RPM constantly, you can select it with this versus using that pedal. Now let's get to the top. We have our ignition switch that our key goes into, which that turns the tractor on, and this switch also controls our low beams and our high beams. Not all tractors do that, but this one does. It's a little different. Now we have our compression disengage. So you pull this, it'll let the compression go. If you release it, it gives it compression. Then we have our RPM gauge and hour meter. And then we have our starter switch and our glow plug switch. So this tractor is an older model tractor, so it has glow plugs. So to use the glow plug, you have to hold it left and it'll heat the glow plug up. And once it's heated up enough, you turn it to the right and it cranks the tractor. Now, back to this handle up here. If you see this gauge right here, it goes from 0 RPMs to about 3,000 is where the highest you want to run it. So when the tractor started and I wanted to run it to 2,000 RPMs, I pull this handle back until it reaches the RPMs that I want, and it'll constantly keep it there. And of course, we have our steering wheel. All right, just a little side note. Before you do any tractor work, I'd highly suggest wearing some leather gloves. I know I didn't have them on in this video, but I highly recommend it. These are mechanics wear fast fit driver gloves. They're made out of leather. These are well broke in. I'll link it down below, the Amazon link, so if you would like them, you can order them. I highly recommend them to anybody who does tractor work, fence work, any kind of outdoor work, really. They're a good pair of gloves. All right, so let's crank the tractor and learn how to make it go forward. First thing to do is push the clutch in, turn our key on, heat our glow plugs up a little bit. We're going to crank the tractor. All right, now that we have the tractor cranked, we've got to put it in gear. But before I put this tractor in gear, it likes to run at a little over 1,000 RPMs. So we're going to idle it up a little bit with the handle. Get our RPMs up. come down here. We're still holding the clutch in. Come down here and select first gear. We're going to make sure this is in low. That way we have true first gear and not fifth gear. If it's in high down here, you're going into fifth gear. But we want to try first gear because we're freshly starting out on driving a tractor. So now that we have our RPMs up, we're going to release the clutch and the tractor is going to go. Now this tractor is geared super low, so first gear is creeping. So you don't have to worry about anything, the tractor dying or nothing, because the RPMs are high enough. Alright, now you've mastered that. Let's go a little faster. So I'm going to put it back in neutral. We're going to come down here, we're going to go from low range to high range. So now we have access to 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to 8. So now we have the highest gear on this tractor selected. But let's say we forget to bump the RPMs up. So we're going to put the RPMs back down. And I let the clutch out. Now we stalled the tractor out. Because we didn't have enough RPMs to turn the motor and the transmission quick enough to keep the tractor going. So it stalled out. Like same thing would happen in a stick shift car. If you don't hit the accelerator when you let the clutch out, it's going to stall the tractor out. So let's try this again. Let's push the clutch in, push the brake because we're on a hill. We're going to leave it in 8th gear. As long as we have the clutch in, we can crank it. So let's crank it up. Now, in order to keep 8th gear from stalling the tractor out, we can either use this and up the RPMs, or we can use the pedal. I'm going to use this because it's a lot easier than the pedal. So I'm going to get it up to about a little over 2,000 RPMs, and we're going to ease out on the clutch. There we go. That's how easy it is. Let's go down the street. So now I got the clutch all the way released, and the tractor drives on itself. Now if we want to slow down a little bit, we can ease the RPMs down once we're going. Or we can use the foot pedal and make it go faster. Now if we need to stop, we're going to push the clutch in to release the transmission from the motor and use the brakes. Alright, now that we've driven the tractor with the RPM lever, let me show you how to use the RPM pedal. So, if we're in 8th gear, we need a good bit of RPMs to keep this tractor from stalling out while I let the clutch out. So it's like driving a car. You're going to feather the gas as you let out the clutch. So you're going to push the gas down as you let out the clutch at the same time. And it will take off and go down the road. Now in order to stop, you have to let out the gas at the same time you push the clutch in and use your brakes to come to a stop. Now in order to go backwards, you do the same thing. You put the tractor in reverse, you feather the gas pedal as you let out the clutch, and we're going to go backwards. And the faster you push the pedal, the faster you go. It's stalled out because my brake pedal rubs up against the throttle lever right here. Because sometimes when you push it in, it chokes it out. Well, there you have it, guys. There's how you drive a tractor. And until next time, I'll see you on the farm.